I think this might be the only time when being overwhelmed was a good thing. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. Y'all, I just got back from being in Asheville, North Carolina, and I went on a family trip. And of course, while I was there, I had to scope out the yarn scene. Now, Asheville is a town, it's a city nestled in the Appalachian Mountains, and it is a beautiful town known for its artist community. So down by the French Broad River, you have all kinds of different artists. You have glass blowers, you have metal workers, you have all kinds of painters. And of course, as you can imagine, in a city that's known for its artists, there were some yarn stores. Because I was with my family, I was not at leisure to go to absolutely any yarn store that was there. So I looked at a few reviews. I tried to figure out what was going to be the best bang for my buck in terms of time, and I decided to go to Friends and Fiberworks. Since this was a family trip, my wonderful husband and children decided to accompany me to the yarn store. I did say, hey, y'all can drop me off here and come get me in a few hours. But no, they wanted to stay with me, which I'm actually glad they did. The folks that were there were super wonderful. They were really sweet, encouraging, and they were the kind of people that don't mind children running around playing hide and seek. In fact, they were saying that their own grandchildren were doing that quite recently. And yes, this store was big enough that you would be able to play hide and seek in it. Oh my goodness. Now, Friends and Fiberworks is not in Asheville proper. It is kind of in a little town off of I-40 as you're going east. The building is a little bit nondescript. It's out of the way. It's among some homes. It's not really in a commercial area. And in the fields nearby, there are alpacas and some sheep. It's not where you might expect to find an enormous yarn store. But here we were. It is the closest thing I've ever experienced to a big box little yarn store. Let me just run down the list of the brands that I could remember. And some of these I couldn't even remember at the time. I had to go back and look at this footage in order to get my mind around them. So, Serdar, Rico Brumi, Hedgehog Fibers, Juniper Moon Farms, Jody Long, West Yorkshire Spinners, Queensland, Rowan, Noro, Barocco, Cascade, Universal Yarn, Earth Yarns, Plymouth, Blue Sky Fibers. And as I'm showing y'all, there are so many more than that. It felt overwhelming. Oh, and I didn't even say Malabrigo, which should be at the top of the list, because when you walk in the store, well, first of all, when you walk in, you have notions on your left, you have some locally dyed yarns on the right, but then all along the left wall, there's a big sign of Malabrigo with the different weights. And interspersed along that wall are different dyers as well. I think they had some Hedgehog Fibers and some Earth Yarns mixed in with their long line of Malabrigo. But oh my goodness, absolutely anything that you could imagine, you could find there. It took me a good long while. I felt so bad for my poor family, but then at the same time, I thought, you know what? I gave y'all an out. You could have gone and dropped me off and gone done something else, but you decided to join me, so it's okay. I'm going to enjoy being here. And to be honest, I think my husband really felt kind of pleased that he could be there in that experience with me. You know, it's good to see someone that you love just happy and immersed in their happy place. And y'all, this was a happy place. I walked through several times. I can't even describe what it was like trying to take it all in. Everything was fairly decently organized. Relatively speaking, you could see where the cottons were, you could see where the different weights of yarn were, you could see that certain fibers were kind of clustered together. One of the challenges for me was walking through and thinking, okay, actually, what do I have in my stash? Because in the back of my head, I was like, I know I have something in my stash. There was something I was going to look for. But I just was so overwhelmed that I thought, I don't even know where to begin. So I just walked. I walked and I walked until I saw the display of Barocco Millefiori. Now, I had been thinking of Barocco Sesame or Sesame Light. So eventually I did remember, oh yes, I do have some Barocco Millefiori Light Luxe in my collection, and I wanted to find a yarn to pair with it to kind of bring out those colors to do some color work. That ended up being my guiding principle. And the other thing was just a basic thought of what stands out to me. I mean, how do you choose? There's so many beautiful cakes, so many different textures, so many brands that I had never tried before. And I did come away with a few things, but maybe that will surprise you. I did not actually go all out hog wild when I was there. I got 2 yarns. Number 1, I got a Barocco Lannis Light. This is a 100% wool. This is a 2-weight yarn, and it calls for a 3.75 to 4 millimeter hook, and it's 100% wool, 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, 383 yards, or 350 meters. So that is what I'm going to use to pair with my Millefiori. Same brand, not the same fiber content, but that is okay. It's still close in terms of the yardage there. So this one is 100 grams, 350 yards. This one is 100 grams, 383 yards. So these two are going to work beautifully together, and I have some ideas about what I might want to make with that. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it is a thought process there. So very happy that at this kind of yarn superstore, I could find something so specific to go with something that I had on hand. I wanted to remember the beautiful temperatures, not only of being in those mountains, because Asheville is nestled right in between a river and the Appalachian Mountains. Absolutely gorgeous. And everywhere you go in the city, you're treated to beautiful views. So maybe it was the sense of the mountains, those colors of the shadows and the mists and the clouds that kind of cling down to the sides. But I decided to go with the one thing that stuck out to me, and that was some Barocco Vintage DK. This is the color 2184. If it has a color name, I'll put it right here, but as of right now, I can't tell that there's a color name. It's a 3-weight yarn. It's 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon, 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, 290 yards, or 266 meters. And it's calling for a 4 millimeter hook. It's not just one straight color of purple. It's kind of a muted lilac, like a dusky lilac, and yet it also almost has an undertone of brown in there. It's not really a cool purple. It's kind of a warm purple. I mean, I say that, but even as I'm looking at it, there's the blue in there as well. It's really hard to describe, but I thought it was just so pretty, and so I ended up getting 3 because I thought 3 of a DK weight, this will be a beautiful shawl, and this will be something that I can make up and remember this trip with. Again, the temperatures on the trip were really wonderful, not blazing hot, not super cold, but something where just having kind of a lightweight shawl is going to be just the thing to keep you cozy when you need to. And then if it does get warm and you go inside in the air conditioning and it's frigid, it'll help you warm up. And to be honest, I kind of feel like this was appropriate because Barocco is one of those brands that's just kind of a standard little yarn shop brand. It's kind of a workhorse of a yarn. It's kind of a backbone. It's kind of a lower price point relative to a local yarn store or a little yarn shop. There's a practicality and there's an honesty in this yarn, I feel. It's just a little bit elevated because it's got that special wool content, but it's also really approachable in the fact that it's got that acrylic content as well. So that means it'll be easy to work with, soft to work with, and it'll also block really beautifully. In terms of price, the Friends Fiberworks was pretty standard as local yarn shops go. So the Lannis Light was $13 for a skein, and the Barocco Vintage DK was $11 per hank. So altogether, including tax, it was about $50, which is really good. That was where I was aiming to be in terms of the money that I had allocated for this trip. So not the cheapest, not the most expensive, but I feel really good that I'll have some wonderful memories to go with this trip, and I get another shawl to think about. Well, hey, let me know in the comments, have you ever been to Friends Fiberworks? Have you ever been to any of the little local yarn shops in the Asheville area? I would love to hear all about it. This was one of those rare occasions, in my opinion, where the expectations actually met reality. It was something to experience. And if you're ever in the Asheville, North Carolina area, I hope that you'll get a chance to go. If not, Friends Fiberworks does have a website, and I will leave that linked below. I also know that even when we were there, they'll have people order locally and then go and pick up their yarn. So that was happening even while we were visiting as well. Thanks so much for coming with me on the little tangent to our family vacation. We did have a great time in general. And just as a little side note, I did get to wear my shawl from Bag O' Day Crochet. I'll drop in some pictures of that right here. So thanks for coming with me today. I'm really glad that I get to share my yarny adventures with you. I'm glad that I get to have a recording of some of the things that I've experienced in the yarny world, and I'm really glad that you've been along with me. Y'all are my yarny people. I get to share my joy with you, and it really does make my day when I get to interact with y'all in the comments and be part of your life. Thank you so much to everyone who has commented, liked, shared, subscribed. Thank you to a bunch of my new subscribers, y'all. It's really nice to see you. I appreciate you being along with me, and I hope that your day is wonderful as you have made mine. And if I'm not your cup of tea, no worries. Thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.